Uh, one of the one of the things that we did fairly early on was take a survey of our residents, and we did it online. We also did it printed out versions that we had, for example, at Bulk Trash Day. Um, the results that we got back are the most important thing people wanted to understand was how residents and businesses could convert to solar power and heat pumps. Another one that they were very interested in was composting. And we're very fortunate to have the only industrial scale composting facility in Dutchess County. It's McEnroe's, and we do tours of it. I have to say that one Earth Day that we did farm tours, it was in the middle of the pandemic, so it was a really good choice not to get everybody clumped together in the middle of town. We did lots of different farm tours and things that were spread out. And we did we actually made a pamphlet. Now that it's not the pandemic anymore, I don't think we would do that again. We found that Earth Day really worked best when it was all, consolidated in town. And quite frankly, it wasn't really worth doing the brochure because people use the online version, and that's, I think, kind of outdated now. We also do public programs. So we have a movie house in the middle of town, which is one of our anchors. And we do various programs, and we've partnered with the movie house. They let us do it for free. We have Q&As afterwards. And one of our most successful ones was What's the Rush? It was a biodiversity film by Doug Tallamy. The library is another one of our important partners, and we do talks at the library. The library has its own audience, which certainly goes beyond the choir. And they also have good outreach. They have a great calendar on their website, which is slowly becoming our local events calendar for everything. We also do some events. This was a really good one. We partnered with the Rail Trail, with Houstonic Valley Association, with DLC, Dutchess Land Conservancy, and with Hudsonia. And it was a led tour by the Dutchess Land Conservancy educator. And my personal favorite is Bulk Trash Day. We do it either once or twice a year. It truly gets beyond the choir. This is mostly people from the village itself. And it's an opportunity to explain to them about electronics recycling, and especially about refrigeration. Early in the game, the refrigerators and the air conditioners went into the dumpster for metal, but now we can educate them on how we're putting them aside and all that gases be properly taken out. We have two kind of event spaces in town, and it's to be determined which one is going to wind up being the most effective. Certainly now we do both. We have a pretty robust farmers market that's run by our community center. That's well established. It tends to attract a typical farmers market crowd. So even though we do SNAP benefits there, it's not really everybody. Eddie Collins Field is recently renovated, and that is probably going to be more inclusive of everybody in the town. So sometimes we'll do a little pop-up tent in both of these places. This is our website. It's really extensive. And I have to say that one of the main users of this website is ourselves. We use it to store a lot of documents, especially, and the town has a link to it on their website. And we use this as a repository for basically all the things that we do, and a lot of the climate smart actions go on here. Social media, we have Facebook and we have Instagram. Instagram is significantly more active than Facebook. And this is a good way to just be able to update things quickly. Our most liked post was when we started we flipped the switch on the electronic vehicle charger. And another
excuse me, could you give us the your town website so we could take a look at it?
Sure. Our Climate Smart website is climatesmartmillerton.org.
Okay.
And then the town of Northeast has links on their website as well.
Okay. Thank you.
This is the name of everything we do, pretty much, Climate Smart Millerton. And another really effective tool we have for reaching beyond the choir is our supervisor's email. He has hundreds and hundreds of email addresses, and that's taken over from even the newspaper as having the biggest audience and the most representative audience of our town. We also partner with nonprofits like Rebuilding Together. They're coming in and helping our residents upgrade their houses and get more electrified generally. So those are our programs.
Great. Thank you so much, Kathy. So we're going to move on to the next presenter. If you have any questions, please try to save them to the end or add them in the chat, and then we will get to them towards the end of the webinar. Thanks.
Beth, you're up next. I don't think there are any slides, right, Liz?
No, we have no slides.
All right, take it away.
Thank you very much. I'm Beth Waterman. I'm the chair of the Conservation Advisory Council in the town of Shandaken, which is in western Ulster County. We're a fairly large town, 119 square miles. 85% of it is owned by the government, and the remainder is a lot of it in the floodplain. So we have the Esopus River running through our town, and 11 hamlets, including Phoenicia and Pine Hill, which both have downtowns. So we started our Conservation Advisory Committee in April of 2022, and so we're relatively new at this, and it's really wonderful to have an opportunity to hear from Kathy, what she's been doing. I think the survey sounds like a great idea, and I'd like to get in touch with you about that, about seeing a copy of that if it's possible. So in the last year, we've been trying to become bronze certified, and we held one of the priorities that we identified was compost and food waste. So we had 2 public workshops that were led by Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. We've had a strong partnership with them this past year. They've now done 3 programs, beginning composting, advanced composting, recycle right, and we showed a film called Just Eat It at the Phoenicia Playhouse. We also have, a theater in our town, which is a good venue for programs of this sort. And we have a community center in Pine Hill, and they've been very gracious in hosting our programs also. We had a 3-month display of materials, and actually there was a photo of all of us that we used in that display, because we realized that people may not recognize our names, but they might see us around town. So we had a photo of the CAC taken in. We put information on the table in the bank, in the Ulster Savings Bank in Phoenicia. including our greenhouse gas inventory and other things that we were working on, which honestly, I don't know if anybody looked at, but they had 3 months of walking by it in the bank. And so our partners in our engagement and education have really been those 3 organizations: the Pine Hill Community Center, the Phoenicia Playhouse, and Ulster Savings Bank. All of our meetings of both the town board and the CAC are televised, and then they are recorded as YouTube videos on the town website. So we don't have much attendance at our meetings, but people do watch them, in the comfort of their own home. And then I attend the town board meetings, which are televised, and get up at the end in the public comment and try to tell people about our events. But we don't have a newspaper. We do use Facebook and Instagram, but I feel that we could improve our communications. We put up flyers at all the post offices when we have an event, and the town has a Facebook page, which they use, which has quite a number of viewers, because it's the way they communicate to all of us if there's an emergency and so forth. So we also have a town recycling center where in this coming next few months, we hope to establish a food waste collection program. So at our recycling center, we purchased a message board so we could post announcements and things for people to see when they come to the recycling center. For the past 2 years, we've participated in the town's 4th of July parade. We have one of our members has a Rivian pickup truck, and so we walk with a banner in front of the pickup truck, and then we have a information session at the end. We're trying to establish EV charging outlets at municipal locations, but we haven't succeeded in that yet. We have a designated page on the town's website. It's very simple. It mostly just lists the actions that we've done for climate smart communities. So let me see if there's any other. I think that pretty much is a summary of all of our education activities since we started. I'm looking now to establish this food waste collection program, and I want to do a lot of education about that around it. I think we may show the film Just Eat It again, and do some other maybe handouts or at least guidance on the website for people who want to participate in the program. So I think that's about it from Western Ulster County. Thank you very much for asking me to participate.
Thank you, Beth, for presenting. This is awesome. All right. So then we will have Susan from the town of Poughkeepsie present, and she's got her own slide.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to put up my. Give me a second, please. All right, can you guys all see that?
Mhm.
Good, Liz?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, let me just do this. All right. So first of all, I want to thank Melanie and Liz for asking me. At first, when they asked me to do this today, I was like, I don't know what to say. And then when I started to work on it, I realized I had a lot to say. And one of the things that's striking me listening to Kathy and Beth is the big differences between our settings and our towns. So I'm in a much sort of bigger, more urban town. You guys are much more rural, and so that's very interesting to me. And even though we've done different things, I will also be stealing ideas from you guys. So I just wanted to put that out there. So yes, so I am the chair of the Climate Smart Task Force in the town of Poughkeepsie. We are a town of about 45,000 people based on the most recent census. And we have had this task force since 2019. The town took the Climate Smart Pledge in 2018 and then did nothing. And we had to really, really push very hard to get this going. And what I did at the time was I joined the CAC. I'm a member there as well. That was sort of my path into Climate Smart. And once the town board understood that they needed to actually, it's a mandatory action to have a task force, they finally formed that, and I was appointed as chair, and we've, got a pretty robust group of people that have been doing this work all along. We are now certified bronze, working hard on actions for silver, and we are also designated as a clean energy community. And I haven't really heard talk about that here today, but I want to encourage everyone. Many of the actions you're going to do for Climate Smart are also applicable to clean energy communities. It's a much simpler process to document and apply, and there's a lot of grant money that comes with those. So I want everyone to really be aware of that. And the other thing I wanted to say by way of introduction that was in my bio, but I know it was too long, that I am not a climate scientist in any way, shape, or form. Everything I do is on a volunteer basis. I'm learning as I go. I'm actually a retired speech language pathologist. I was fortunate to be able to retire reasonably young, and I have basically been sinking all my energy into this and left that behind. And I'm here to say to all of you, if I can do it, you can also do it. There's an enormous amount of support. Everyone in this community is willing to share. There's all kinds of learning opportunities. So it was really important to me to say that you can do it too. So I want to talk a little bit about what we've done for sort of branding ourselves. I think branding is very important. I think Kathy mentioned sort of consumers and publicity. It's very, very important. We have external customers, we have internal customers, and we need to be recognizable to them. And I wanted to share these beautiful logos. These were actually designed for us, for both our groups, Climate Smart and CAC, by the graphic arts students at Dutchess Community College. It was a class project, and we worked with them. And we have them on everything that we do, and they're very recognizable. So that was kind of a fun partnership project that we did. We do also have a web page. Now I'm going to see, I put this live link in my PowerPoint. Now I am now looking at my web page. Can you guys see my web page? Did that come up in the share? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just temporarily stop the share, and I'm going to go and share that, and then I'll go back to the PowerPoint, because I didn't want to just do a screenshot of this. I wanted to actually show you. It's a very extensive web page. You should be able to see that now, right?
Yes.
You guys can see that okay. So this is our webpage. This is a page on the Town of Poughkeepsie website. The town outsourced the website a couple of years ago. They have a company that hosts it, and I had the opportunity to be trained and to learn to maintain my own page, which I do, which is really much better than asking the IT guy to do things for me. So I can go in here whenever I want, and I can do this. And I keep this on here. I'm constantly updating it with information, opportunities that we're offering. I also there's all kinds of links on here to town agendas and meetings and all that. The members are on here. There's tons of information about what is Climate Smart, about what we have done, what we have accomplished. And I also have on here a Spanish section that was done for me by someone at Cornell, my former liaison at Cornell Cooperative Extension, who's bilingual. So that's been great. And then I have links to, videos of past events on here, as well as every single month when we have a meeting, I go in here and I put in a very brief update so the public has a place to see what we're doing. I think it was Beth, you said a minute ago, you have no idea who's looking at this, but we hope somebody's looking at it. So I just wanted you to see that. I think it's really, really important, to be online. Okay, I'm gonna put my slideshow back up and excuse me, I'm moving my cat who loves to be on Zoom. And you guys should now be back to seeing my my screen share, right? Okay. So I just want to tell you about some of the things we've done. We do have also a Facebook page. This is just a sample post that we did. One of the things I want to say about this is our town does not yet have a social media policy, which has been very frustrating to me. And I did not want to wait for them to provide me with, a Facebook page. So I got permission from a supervisor and I just went ahead and I made one. And we do post on there. We have a bunch of followers now, events and different things. But the policy has been a problem area for us. So if you think of it, this is a good thing to discuss with your town board or your IT person or whoever it is. And we do follow and share other partner organizations such as the Arlington Business District and things like that. So that's been helpful in getting the word out about events. We do also have a physical brochure. There's a picture of it folded up. And even though paper is not as much of a thing right now, I do have these in the town hall. I have them in the library. We take them when we table, and it's not a bad thing. We also have these beautiful banners that we had made. They're like, 2 feet long, and we take them, when we go places, we take them and we hang them up. We also have a whole lot of publicity outlets through the town. So this is just a picture of our Climate Smart plaque. They're up in the town hall lobbies, but the town has a big email distribution where residents can sign up to receive emails on different topics. So I can give the administrative assistant there flyers and she puts them out. The town has like a TV station. Apparently people watch it. I don't know, but apparently people watch it. She puts it on there. They will send out flyers for me. They will send out press releases for me. I have someone there who's really, really supportive. So the town has lots of existing publicity outlets, that we can piggyback into. So I wanted to just share with you some of the events we've done. The Climate Smart Task Force and really the sort of regenerated CAC, we have an enormous amount of overlap. So a lot of the actions that the CAC has been doing are actions that have brought us climate smart points. So, we were really ramping this up during COVID and we were all stuck at home. So one of the first things that we really did with the CAC was we had this video series. And this is just a sample flyer. We called it Takes a Town. We had 5 or 6 of these. I see Carrie Russell is here. I think she presented one for us on recycling. I can't remember, but we had a bunch of different guest speakers and they were on a variety of topics. They had great attendance and the meetings were all recorded and they are on the town YouTube channel. And I have those linked in my website as well. So they are there permanently. And I frequently refer people to those to watch for information. So we had that. Most of our outreach is really around, specific events. We had the video series, and now here are some examples of other things we've done. So you see the first time I tabled, I had this little science fair board project homemade thing that I put together. And then we got fancier later on, with our banners. And this is a picture of me with Pam Kingsley, our CAC chair, at the Arlington Street Fair, which is an enormous, enormous annual event where a good couple thousand people go through. And the picture on the bottom right is from that same street fair. You mentioned about having the truck. We got the Ford dealership to come in there with an electric lightning, and we plugged in a popcorn popper in the front, and we parked this thing in the middle of the street fair, and people just went wild. They couldn't believe like this was all electric, and it was really very cool, raising awareness. And the picture on the lower left is me and our town board person, Ann Shershin from the town board. She's on the task force. And the person at the time who was our Cornell Cooperative Extension liaison, Danielle. So we did a community campaign, a Solar for All campaign. And this is a picture of us at the Arlington Farmers Market, which is once a week seasonally. And so the tabling is really important. And I wanted to also make the point that Cornell has been an incredible partner, Cornell Cooperative. And we'll talk about that again in a couple of minutes. This is Earth Day. So the CAC started a townwide cleanup. We've done it for a couple of years now. And so this is just a picture of one of the groups on Earth Day. We take different, neighborhoods or whatever. So Earth Day has been great. This is our natural resources inventory website. So again, this was something that the CAC did, but we have a huge number of Climate Smart points for finishing our natural resources inventory and open space plan and having them adopted by the board. And this was a very, very long project. And there were a lot of public meetings and things like that. And there was this dedicated website. And we did have an engineering firm came in with grant money, to do this with us. So this is another form of public engagement. This is something I'm really proud of. This is our page on the Pollinator Pathway site. I started the Pollinator Pathway in the town of Poughkeepsie, and it has just mushroomed to the point where we have all kinds of contacts. Some of you are here in different places, and it has really become a county-wide effort. And one of the things that we did at the very beginning is we had a student in, I guess these days you call it the geography department at Vassar, who created this interactive map for us that Vassar College actually hosts. And people can go in here and they can put their location on the pathway. So you have a visual of actually growing this pathway for the pollinators. You can put pictures of your house or other sites. So this is an old picture. There's a lot more spots on the map now, but this is, again, something that's very, very engaging for the public. So that's been good. There's been public meetings for all these things. And I also wanted to mention that I have done a huge number of public presentations, like wherever I can, I go. So Marist Center for Lifetime Studies, they do different courses. They invited me in to speak one day. Actually, I've gone there twice, once with an update they have the CLS. They had a community effort topic that they did. I've spoken with the Arlington Rotary, the Town of Poughkeepsie Rotary Club. I've spoken at the Town of Poughkeepsie Senior Center, which is a very, very active place. They have what they call Lunch and Learn. I talked to them. I've spoken to the Harding Club. We speak at, houses of worship. I've spoken at the library. The library here did a whole series based on the Talamy books about pollinators, and they asked me to speak. We're partnering with the schools as well, especially on the pollinator work. So the possibilities are really endless for getting the word out. I also wanted to say a word about internal engagement. Kathy, I think it was you. I can't remember which of you were talking about the board. Yes, our stakeholders are not just the external community. They are very much the board and the town staff. And so we do go particularly to what's called Committee of the Whole, which happens at least once a month at the town board, where different committees and task forces and departments will come in and give a presentation on, some project that they're doing. It isn't something that the board votes on, but it's really helpful to get the word out. And, the town sends its committee agenda out to whoever is going to receive that. A lot of members of the public come in person or online, and they see these presentations. So that's another really, really important thing that we do is we educate the town board and the town staff. It's very, very important, to get them working with us, and what I call the culture of the town. So it really comes from the board on down to the staff, setting that culture. And, our goal is to really make climate a first thought, a priority in all decisions made by the town. Currently, I would not characterize it that way, but I would like to work toward, I would like climate to be an ever-present concern in every decision that the town is making about everything, about everything. So just a word about community partners. So we have a lot of community partners. This is something that's more recent that I'm very proud of. We've started to work on the repair cafes. We've held 2 of them. And I know Melissa is here from Sustainable Hudson Valley, and they've been incredible. They sponsor Hudson Valley Repair Cafe. We've done 2 of them now. We're trying to develop a rotation with the other towns that are doing it. And we had the first one at the senior center, which is owned by the town, which means we could get climate smart points for it. And we had the most recent one a couple of weeks ago. This is the Vassar Environmental Cooperative, also known as Vassar Barn, and they are an incredible partner. Vassar College in general is an incredible partner in the town. We see Carrie sitting there. She was actually at that repair cafe with information about recycling. And Vassar has, they have a budget, to help us do things like this. So this repair cafe has just been wonderful. And it's a great opportunity to get the word out about some of the other things that we're doing. Specific to PE9, we do have a climate smart community education and engagement plan that was submitted and approved for those points. And I want to tell you that we did not write this. We had an incredible opportunity from Cornell to sign up to be part of a group. There was a group of students, and they, as an exercise, developed a template plan that met the climate smart action requirements. And they provided it to us. There was some interaction, but they did pretty much all the work. They provided it to us, and we literally went through and, plugged in the name of the town and different things. And we had to work with the board. There were a couple of things the board wasn't too happy about in that plan that we had to remove. But we did get it approved by the board, and we did get it, documented, and we got those points. So I can't say enough about Cornell in general and Cornell Cooperative Extension. They are an incredible partner, and we would not be where we are without them, because way at the beginning we had someone there working with us who really got the town through those initial stages of climate smart development and helped us lay out priorities for actions. There's no way we would have been where we are today without that support from Cornell Cooperative Extension. No way. And Cornell also has, for those of you who don't know, and I think they're in all the counties, a wealth of materials that they will lend to you for tabling, for displays, for whatever it is. They have so much for you. So I encourage you to check that out. And so I just want to say thank you. This is our climate smart address. This is my town email address. I will respond to it. I will respond at my personal address. I will respond at all these addresses, and I'm very, very happy. I frequently reach out to other climate smart chairs. How did you do this? How did you do this? And I am happy to do the same, because we are all in this together. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Susan. And I'm just going to add on the point of Cornell that we have heard that Cornell Cooperative Extension in Dutchess and Ulster counties will be, or are at least offering some assistance with the PE9 action for those who are interested. And so they will help you with the education engagement strategy document, as well as some of the other actions. So I will be adding their emails into the chat. If you're interested, please reach out to them. And now we'll be going back to our presentation to go through in more detail what those strategy documents and some of the other requirements of the action. And we also will be sharing a template for that document for anyone who's interested.
Okay, so there are 6 requirements in Climate Smart for the education engagement strategy. First is the strategy document itself, which is a description of your local government's community engagement strategy, which Liz just mentioned. We have this template. I'll discuss a little bit more in the next slide, but we will also share that with you. Second is documentation of at least 2 public engagement, outreach, or education activities that are focused on climate change that have happened within the past year, where your local government played a role. So depending on when you're submitting for Climate Smart certification, if you're planning on the January 4th deadline, then all of the events that you're submitting for must have taken place within the 2023 calendar year. And this documentation can include meeting minutes, attendee sign-in sheets, summary of information that's gathered from the community, photographs of events. CSC loves photos of all the events. They love to see that. Copies of any educational materials that you hand out, or your presentations themselves. They love to see all of those materials that go along with your events. Third is that you must demonstrate engagement with a variety of community stakeholders. So listing all of the partners that you work with to, host these events. So you have public meetings or targeted stakeholder meetings, any of that engagement that you include in your submission. So like I mentioned previously, there are 8 total points available for this action, and to receive full credit, you must demonstrate that you're providing engagement for both climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. So if you're only doing mitigation or if you're only doing adaptation, you can still get 4 points for either of those. And if you're doing both, you'll get 8. So some examples of mitigation activities are promoting emissions reductions throughout your community. So hosting events on renewable energy or electric vehicles or clean heating, and so on. And then adaptation focuses on how you're making your community more resilient to the changing climate. So if you're doing work on flood planning resilience or planting trees, doing the pollinator pathways, composting, and events like that, that will fall under adaptation. Fifth is that you need to show that your program is currently active. And then also they like to see if you have any plans for future events or future engagement efforts. And then finally, the resolution that the education and engagement strategy document was formally adopted by your local government. Next slide. So there are 6 pieces that Climate Smart wants to see that are part of your community engagement strategy. First is an overview, so a background on your municipality, on your CAC or your Climate Smart Task Force, and what sort of general activities your group does. Second are the goals and the scope of your outreach program. Third is listing all of the partners that you work with, both in your community and in the region, if you're working with any countywide partners, or so on. Fourth is the audiences that within your community you're trying to reach. So are you targeting specific groups for specific events? Fifth is the engagement methods that are tailored for the audiences that you're trying to engage. So listing that you're not just doing social media outreach, or that you're hosting in-person or virtual events, and so on. And then lastly, the inclusion of either one or both of mitigation and adaptation strategies. So your list of events, outreach activities from the past year. And a note that—
Melanie, can I ask, may I interrupt and just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Is number 6 really just a concrete version of number 2?
Right, so these are the 2 public education or engagement events. So the strategies that you're doing, the events that you're holding pertaining to mitigation or adaptation.
Okay, thank you.
One last note is that the strategy and the scope of your program can change or evolve over time, but you should put these elements in writing as part of your plan, and noting that you're developing an ongoing engagement program. So, you know, you may update it in the future if you choose, and note about what kind of your future plans are, and that the strategies can be a living document. You're not held to everything that you write in it to the letter.
So that's all that we have. Thank you so much for attending today. And this is our contact information as well as the contact for the rest of our team. And again, these slides will be shared after the webinar, so you will be able to have access to this as well. Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing now and then go through some of the questions that we had received, and also if anyone has additional questions.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the main thrust of PE 9, if I read the text right, is mitigation and adaptation. And sometimes when I hear all of these really great activities that are being taken by the various towns, like for instance, a webinar in invasive species, how does that relate to either, and this is, I want to make this a general question, how does that relate to mitigation or adaptation? Why would that earn points towards certification?
So I guess it depends on whether or not like what the goal would be for that education event. Like, is it to educate your community in order to then make that adapt it in order to address the climate change risks that are happening? I think that may be a way to apply it. I don't know if Melanie, you have any ideas of how it might relate to mitigation in a way, or also adaptation?
Yeah, I think you had it on. It really depends on how you're educating about whatever topic that you're doing. So invasive species, if you're just saying these are a list of all the invasive species in our town and that's it, that would not, I don't think, apply to get you credit. But if you're educating about, you know, why climate change is making invasive species more widespread, or helping your community adapt or become resilient and focus on you know, healthy land use practices, then I think that would count for adaptation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Judith, I see you have your hand up. I don't know if you're muted if you're asking a question. Okay, there were a couple questions for Kathy in the chat. One being how big your town is, and then the second was how you got the survey results out to all of the residents.
Sure. So Northeast is 3,000 people-ish, and Millerton, the village, is about 1,000. So we're a very small town, and it's very, very rural. I can show you some. This is about our survey. So the survey itself we had paper surveys that we had people sign, for example, at bulk trash day. And we offered them cookies when they would take a survey. So that was sort of a fun way of doing it. It was online. And then we asked them, we gave links to the online survey through the supervisor's email, through our own social media, through our website. And we had signs that we put up in the post office and posters around town to take the survey. And we thought it was going to be like a 30-day open period. It wound up being much longer because we kept finding other audiences that we wanted to include in the survey. And it was tallied kind of manually because it wasn't actually that much stuff. We had, I think, 10 questions.
Great, thanks. Was the person who asked about the survey, did that help answer your question?
I wanted to mention the question about invasive species.
Sure.
I'm on the Town of Rochester Environmental Conservation Commission. My name is Judith Karpova. I think keeping invasive species under control as a climate action is important because native species become even more vulnerable to invasives in the teeth of climate change. And if you lose your native insects, your native plants, your native pollinators, then your local food supply is at risk, which forces communities to import from greater and greater distances, which itself impacts the climate because there's more emissions from all that transportation. So it's a bit of a, hop across the dots and connect them all. But just in human terms, that's one reason to make the case for really getting on top of invasive species, whether it's insects, animals, or plants.
Great, thank you.
I have a question, and that it's in connection again with invasive species, but I think it represents something larger. I think the explanation just given really makes sense to me, and I wouldn't want to see. I don't like seeing invasive species all over the place. But when it comes to reviewing an application, how specific does I forget what it is, DEC or NYSERDA get? In other words, they say, sure, we don't like invasive species, but this particular invasive species came in a crate from Asia. It has nothing to do with climate change. Do they get into that kind of reasoning and that kind of detail?
That's a good question. So they're not, I mean, they can be a little bit particular, the DEC reviewers, but they want to see that you are engaging, first and foremost, engaging and educating your community. So as long as you are, writing and providing documentation and backing up why you're doing certain things, I think, they're likely to approve it. And,
Okay,
like I
thank you.
mentioned before, if you're just saying we're holding a invasive species webinar and you don't provide any other information about it, I think, that's what you want to avoid, is you want to be as specific as possible.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to pop in and say that I posted a a related answer in the chat, which is the
Yeah, it's a great aspect. Thank
ability to
you.
absorb carbon and rainwater.
Yay.
So are there any other questions?
There was one from Joe. He actually had to leave early, but he asked, does HVRC or any of the panelists have a suggestion for how to approach your town council about initiating a climate smart task force, or alternatively, parentheses perhaps to Susan, really getting an existing task force doing something?
Well, I mean, I think you have to just get a group of interested residents and you have to go to the board because this requires a board resolution. I mean, you know, we hear talk about like, how could anyone at this point not understand that climate change is an issue? I hear this over and over again. I understand because of my own personal experience that there are people who don't understand that climate change is an issue, but I think you have to get together a bunch of people who are interested. If you have another group like a CAC in existence, that's a great way to go. But you need to talk to the town board and you need to explain about the Climate Smart program if they don't know what it is, and you need to push. You need to be assertive. I will also add that one of the things I've learned about the board, and I think this differs from town to town, because boards are different, political environments are different. I have studiously avoided politicizing any of this work. I keep my political work, which is extensive, in a completely separate box and as a completely separate hat. Because I, you know, have the right to do that, right? As a resident, a taxpayer, and a citizen and a voter. But what I have learned is that we get a lot more done if we want to really do something new by having outreach to the individual board members one-on-one first, working it through before it comes to a board meeting. I have found that to be some of the best advice I have ever been given, especially in my town, which is, I'm just going to say it is a very challenging environment. So that's my best advice. You got to get a group of people. You got to go start talking. You got to talk to your board members. You just got to do it. You got to ask for a meeting. You got to do it. There's no magic. There's no magic answer. You just got to go talk to them.
I also find that it's really important to have a champion. We were lucky that our supervisor, this is his pet project, so he can help really move things along, but it could be anybody on the board. And boards are always challenged with volunteer time. So the fact that you show up that's the most important thing, is that you'll show up and you'll see it through, that you'll keep the momentum going, and that you'll actually accomplish something that once you get CSC certification, that helps them financially. And a lot of towns, small, especially our rural small, they're really cash strapped. So
there's money. There's money. Tell them there is so much grant money. There is so much grant money that could be gotten. That should be huge for them. I'm not leaving. I'm just running for my power cord because I'm on battery here and I don't want to run out, but I'm here.
Can I add something? I know I'm jumping in.
Yeah, of course.
Just in answer to the question, I'm really going to be repeating what the last two people have said, but this is Jennifer Sendek from Briarcliff Manor, and we, for years, tried to get our board on board. And like Kathy said, until we had a board member that understood what it was, we weren't getting anywhere. We did do some of the CEC high impact items that we really didn't have to do without board approval. We needed them to submit the documents, but I provided a lot of donuts to a woman that worked in the Department of Public Works. And it took years. And then we did get a board member who was very helpful and pushed towards it. But really what it did is we shamed them into it. By getting the pledge passed, it was all these other communities are doing it. We're on the list that isn't part of this climate smart community. And it was humiliating and embarrassing and such a waste of time. But then we finally got it. They passed the resolution and then they went radio silent. So we've struggled every turn we take. There's another board seat open now that we're going to have a new election for, but we really had to start seeing some turnover. So, Richard, I feel your pain. Just thought I'd like to know you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Jenny, Susan, Kathy.
There was something else in the chat that I don't want to miss, which was a question about the incinerator. I think that was a really important, if I may. So, the Dutchess County, and Carrie is here, and Carrie can also address this. The Dutchess County, the incinerator is county incinerator, and it is located within the town of Poughkeepsie, but it's a county run thing. And so I want everyone here to be aware that we currently are in the middle of this 16 or 18-month project called CAPI Dutchess, Climate Action Planning Institute. It's been done in Ulster. It's also happening now in Westchester simultaneously. And this is in Dutchess, a group of 9 municipalities, including the town of Poughkeepsie, including the Dutchess County is there, City of Poughkeepsie, 6 other ones. I don't know if anybody else is here from those. I know Devin is here, and Devin is one of the people on the county team. So we are doing greenhouse gas emission inventories for government operations in each of our municipalities. Inventory, data collection, inventory, emission forecasting now, and eventually climate action plans. And again, huge numbers of climate smart points are going to come from this. And there's going to be a cohort starting in 2 days for community inventories as well. So I bring this up because the conversation about the incinerator has come up in that setting. And I'm actually going to ask Devin if he might unmute, and just because I know there was some conversation about the emissions from the incinerator and who's sort of responsible for that. And I'm hoping that we just might have a word about that here, because someone did write in the chat and asked about if anyone is, someone wrote in the chat earlier and said, is there any collaboration with people regarding the incinerator? So I'm hoping that Devin or Carrie might just weigh in and answer that question. Because I know they're here. There's Devin. Thanks, Devin.
We can't hear you, Devin.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't. Your audio
He's
might not be working.
He's unmuted, but we can't hear him. Oh, no.
I don't know if you want to write a response back in the chat, if that's, yeah.
And Carrie, of course, is also involved. Carrie, are you still here? I don't know if she's still here.
I'm here.
Hi, Carrie. I don't know if you wanted to just say anything about that since it came up and it's really your wheelhouse.
So I can't speak on the CAPI. I'm not on that task force. As far as where the incinerator will land in that. We are located in the town of Poughkeepsie. We are not, it is an agency, so it's actually not operated by the county. So hopefully Devin can respond to the question a bit better through the chat as to where the emissions will be logged.
Oh no, we still can't hear you.
I can jump in. I'm the one who's running the community greenhouse gas inventory cohort, hosted by HVRC. The incinerators, the one in Dutchess and the one in Westchester, are included in a community inventory. So those emissions are included in both Scope 1 emissions as, those facilities are waste to energy, so they are generating electricity. So they're included in scope 1 electricity generation, and they're also included in scope 3 of the emissions of the waste that is being sent to those incinerators. So hopefully that helps clear it up. No, we still can't hear you, Devin, sorry.
I wanted to respond to that question in the chat because yes, there is conversation about the incinerator. And depending on whose inventory it gets captured in, okay? So even if it's in the community inventory, that's still going to be divvied up among a lot of municipalities. Depending on whose inventory accounts for those emissions, it will be that municipality's emissions forecast and action plan that will have to address the incinerator. I mean, I think that's a correct statement. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
There we go. Okay, so it's going to be the counties. So even though the county is everyone in the cohort is in the county's going to have its own. So Devin, you're going to be a participant in the community one as well. Okay, so there will be things that are impacting all of us in terms of the air we breathe or whatever it is that are going to be sort of in the county's box. Okay. A lot of people ask me about the incinerator, so I thought this was a good opportunity to sort of do whatever education we could here with these people. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Susan. Did we have any other questions from anyone? Okay, I guess not, but if you do, feel free to reach out to us via email, and we will also be providing the contact information for all of our presenters if you have any specific questions you'd like to ask them about related to the PE9 action or even just about climate smart actions in general. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.